So we're going to start metallics, and the same as last time, what I need to do is mask up the track sections so that I don't risk the paint job that I've already started. So what I'll do initially is just get one side down and I'll run my finger along where I want the tape to be repeatedly. The outside is easier than the inside face, I'll grant you that. I need to pull it over enough to get round the end of the back, or around the end of the track section. Again, I'll just run my nail repeatedly down the tape once I've got it in position. That'll just help fix it in place. I've never found a problem with this stuff. It's brand in the UK known as frog tape. I don't know if you can find it in the States. I don't know about the brand name in the States, but in the UK it's known as frog tape. It's a plumber's tape used for its anti-bleed properties, so hopefully we shouldn't get too much paint underneath this. And what I'm going to do quickly is just trim that excess off. I can make use of it elsewhere. So I'm starting to run out of this stuff. I'll just fold that down and that one up. That just gives that a little bit of protection. I won't have to worry too much about that one. I'll keep the thinner bits for the inside edge, purely because it'll make my life easier, and we want to try and keep to using the nice pristine edge up against our track. A little bit of an issue at the end here, but it deals with that. So again, trim this excess off, make use of it elsewhere. Just makes our life a little easier holding the piece. So these are the more difficult ones. So I'm going to come in at an angle for this. So what I'm going to try and do is crimp the tape so that I can get it down at that edge. This is slightly more tricky than the lemon rust, purely for the fact that what I might find is easier is to cut this into strips. Just because the angle it wants to maintain. If I try and curve this round a curved surface, the tape will warp, and I definitely don't want that. Not on this inner face. Hello, Father Nurgle. One of Father Nurgle's minions has arrived in the room. I'm sorry if you can hear that on camera. He's doing a good job of buzzing about. just loosely got it in place. So we will obviously tackle the tracks first before we attempt the rest of the tank. Get the tracks out of the way. We save ourselves some work. Cut that where it goes around the track. And come back in with this piece to finish it off. Use of little bits that I can. Thought it slipped. One of them's come off. Typical. Alright, we would just have to be careful around the back of the tank. We aren't going to be able to completely mask that out. Just because the complex shape that's there. We can do the best we can to protect it. But we're not going to get completely around that. Use this piece to do this side. Turn around so I can actually see what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to do is get this onto the edge of the track and then push it down with my nail where I can, where it'll let me, if it's going to let me. That'll do. And just allow the tape to settle where it can. That's the straight edge, so I'll use that for the shortest bit. And just cutting it into smaller and smaller sections at the moment. So roughly get it where I want it. And use my nail to push it down. Doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to sit there for a little while. We know we're going to run into a problem at the end there, so it's one of the reasons I cut it where I did. We just need to be a little bit careful at the end of the track here. that will do. Now we've got the tracks masked, we can make our life a little bit quicker and easier. I'm going to use some lead belcher. I think I might have used Iron Warrior last time. Did this. Just try and push that down a little bit more. That's better. We're going to have an issue at the end there, but I can take some lead belcher straight from the pot, and because I've masked it, I can rapidly move along this surface with a fairly large brush. So there are places I will have to go carefully, like at the back here, because of where we've met up to the track. So just trying to be a little bit more careful here. But the other side, don't need to worry. Around this side. And hopefully, because we've masked it off, we can be a little bit more slapdash than we were. So again, the outside edge we ain't worrying about, no issue. The inside edge we need to be a little bit more careful. So if we're already onto the underside and the front, just work that pigment in. Now if we do get any overspill with this, I'm not going to panic about it again, because we will use some typhus corrosion to eventually go on the tracks, and that can be used to correct any of the mistakes we've made. So again, I'm not going to worry about that. Make sure I haven't got the silver on my fingers. And that is pretty much all of the track base coated. So I'm going to hit that with a hairdryer for a few minutes, just make sure it's cured, and then we'll come back in and wash it. Hopefully that's given it enough of a blast with that hairdryer to dry it off. So I'm going to load some water onto my palette, just a little bit, just because of the strength of colour, and then I'm going to use quite a bit of Lamium medium. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some rattling grime, let's find it. It's always the colour you don't look at. Not that one. Not that one. Yeah, it's always the last one you look at. Obviously, once you find the colour, you don't need to keep looking. So, mix up some thinned rattling grime. It's not as thin as it could be, but what we're going to do now, start at the top wash this area. Now that's slipped in the drying, I think. So just put that back in the right place. Around the front. Let's get the back bit done. To that side. Just start on the bottom. And then this side. Then we're going to lose that bit of paper in a minute. Get rid of it completely. Right, the bit we haven't done, the underside. So I'll do that little bit. I'll take that little bit. And then, because we're masked, we can come all the way down, high profile. Just check them over. Right, that's painted. So gonna let it dry. Back in a sec. So that is now dried. Just put a bit of water down from a brush. Same process as before. Check that I can't see any moisture on the back of the brush. And then you come in with some lead belcher, which is the base colour we've just used. And again, because we're masked, I can just brush this quite quickly with a damp dry brush. Down most of the track. See something in the plastic. I didn't know if I was seeing things or not, so I had to stop. So this is nearly all done, and we could nearly at the point of just tearing back this tape. So just got the bits that we worried about that are a little bit more difficult. Back here, just because of that edge. Right, so that's done. What we can do now is carefully peel off the tape, because we can reuse this for other bits. hopefully you see we haven't got much. We've got a little bit of bleed. Just rub that off with my fingers. There's only the contrast that's bled. Because they're more fluid, they have a higher tendency to bleed under the tape. But again, I'm not going to worry because we can smudge that out afterwards. But that's the tracks done. So now we've got to get on with the rest of it. So how am I going to tackle this? I'm going to take the same approach. I'm going to mask up bits of it to make my life as easy as I can. So we've got the inside face of the vehicle. And at this point I'm going to use the end of an old brush just to push the tape down as best I can. It's not going to be perfect, but we can just move the tape away from where we need it to where we don't. Tuck the tape where we can. So sometimes it's useful having bits of leftover tape that you can make use of. Now that's at the opposite end of where I can see it, so that ain't going to cut the mustard. Then you go down further. The tape is low tack. I know you saw it sticking to my fingers just then. That's probably more to do with the weather than how I'm using it. Just gives us a little bit of protection. There's a little bit there as well, so we'll come in and we'll stick that right up against that edge and try and protect that. That's the back protected as best as I'm going to get it. And is that just about long enough to print it? No. Typical. It's almost, but not quite. That'll help. We've got all of that protected. I'm going to have to leave the back of the tank for the moment and take one of these longer sections. I'm just going to wrap this around here. What I'll probably do with some of these bits is I will go and spray them, because if I can get them completely covered and protected, then it doesn't matter if I use a rattle can, because it will be even faster. Just means there will be some correcting to do later on, but probably not a lot, because the idea is to cover and protect most of what we can, and then to finish off what we can't by hand. So for this, what I really want to protect is this cowling that we've already done. So I'm going to cut these strips smaller. Repositioning. Unfortunately, we'll go that way. Just try and get up to that. not having it. Let's cut it to pieces. I'm not happy with you like that. Get off. Had several pieces slip on me. That's not the neat edge, that's the neat edge. I wondered why there was a gap at the end. It wasn't straight. So you may be thinking at the moment, well, it's taking you so much longer to mask this out. Why would you do that? Because the speed and precision that you can get from masking it out is better and faster still, even though it looks like it's been rather slow of actually masking it. I'm going to chop that piece there just to cover that out. Now cutting strips to protect what I can. There will be bits that I need to come back and correct, but hey ho. That's by the by. Overall, the effect will be what we want. Thank you. Just going to pull that back a little bit. Trim that down. So we will have some corrections. So this is a much more efficient, speedy process doing it this way than any other. You're slipping. That will need to be held when it's sprayed. this into overlapping chunks at the moment. I'll try to protect that front edge at the moment. Don't care if I've got to come back and correct it. I don't want to get any of this onto that grey if I can help it. We've already done. As I say, this will mean that we've got some tidying up of the silver to do afterwards, but it should be less tidying up than we would have otherwise had, because we were liable to make a lot of mistakes. So by and large, I've got that mast out, I've got that mast. I put a bit more tape on the back end of this. I think I want to isolate that platform. Just rather not get spray paint in that bit if I can help it. This way, hopefully, we've given it some protection from what I'm about to do. So, a little bit more tape. I'm just going to cover the back of the side, back and front. Just try and give this a little bit more protection from the spray. It's only really one particular area of the back that we want to spray, so try to mask off bits that we don't need paint on. That's the tank masked up. I should be back short. So I went and gave that a quick blast with rattle can and lead belcher. Show you where we're at. So I don't think I've got anything on the front of the vehicle, even though I've sprayed almost paint right up to the edge just because the angle I was working at. So I've peeled this off, and this has now had it. I ain't going to get another use out of it. But that has done most of the work we need there on the back of the tank from just a bit of simple masking tape. Take the front shield off. Managed to avoid getting it underneath onto the armour, but we've still managed to get the top trim done, which is what I wanted. So again, hope you can see I've got no paint peeling off with this tape. It's just not happening. I've got a couple of little bits that I might need to correct, but that's by the by. By and large, we've done most of the lead belcher that I need to do with a rattle can. That's those bits. I wouldn't use this on very delicate parts, not unless you're able to take some time taking the tape back off. Now all we need to do is tidy up that silver. So take a little bit of lead belcher. We've just got a few corrections that we're going to have to make. Virtually nothing to do on that. In fact, we'll do that first, because that's probably the simplest part to correct. All we've got to do is this front edge here, and that is it. I might do the upright supports, I don't know. I think I will actually. Just use this to get the few bits that we missed. I'm not going to worry about the bits that are in the middle there, because at the end of the day they really aren't going to matter. These upright supports. And just try and get the other side of them. And that'll do for those parts for the moment. I just wanted to pick out the bars. This one is slightly more complicated. We've got to finish off this part. That'll leave me having to correct something on that, but we'll worry about that another time. The only other bit I want on here is this cog on the inside. Now I'm using this big brush, I know. Some of the other details we'll pick out in a different colour later on. Like that cylinder on the back, it's going to be a different colour. So this is the bigger piece that we need to correct. Now I'm not going to worry about these two trims, they're going to be a different colour at the end. The bits that I want to worry about are the end of this panel where it joins. Making sure that's been coloured. You won't see it, I know, but people will eventually see grey plastic and be like, oh, you didn't paint that. So just checking that these have all been painted in, that there's colour on all of them. Yeah, that's where I thought there might be an issue. It's around here where the masking tape was heaviest. The tape can't allow us to get into these bits because they were masked, so obviously spray can't get to them. It's just part of the lower section of the mechanism. And the last bit is going to be the back of the missile rail. there's a bit on either side that we couldn't get because we masked it. But now that's done. And just making sure we got all of that done. You can probably spot there are some imperfections in the build. They weren't my parts, third-party parts, and unfortunately whoever built this particular whirlwind launcher hadn't seated it properly because it's too far back. But you won't notice it, and we won't worry about it. Painting inside the sections so that we can wash it later. Try not to get it on the edge like I've just done. Yeah, that'll be sufficient for the wash. The only other bit is this bit on the front. I don't think I need anything else in silver at the moment. So there we are. We're up to being able to put the washes on the metallics on the tank, and I think we've taken less than an hour or so far. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.